Welcome to Become a Conflict Guru, Module 4, How.
So now we're in the section of how, which has to do with feelings. And in this section, we're going to see that feelings are neither good nor bad. Now that may be a surprise to some of you, but feelings are simply a message to us that our needs have been satisfied or not. And when we look at feelings in this way, it gives us a new insight in how to deal with conflict in our lives, because as a conflict guru, you will read feelings as a type of GPS to determine if needs have been satisfied or not, and then address that underlying need. It's a way for us to understand what's causing the conflict and addressing what's going on at the core level of our humanity, which is the feelings that's driving our actions. A conflict guru reads feelings to determine if needs are being satisfied or not.
Over the course of your life, you may have heard some of these myths about feelings. They're messy and complicated, and it's better to brush them off than face them. They're weak, or you're weak for having them. We don't talk about feelings at work. Leave them at home. The workplace is for business, not your personal drama. Dealing with feelings and needs is time-consuming and ineffective. Suck it up and get over it. We've got work to do, and we don't have time to spend all of this touchy-feely stuff. Being able to deal with feelings and needs is a trait that some people have and some people don't. I just wasn't cut out to be a people person. You have to be born with that. These are all unfortunate messages that prevent us from expressing our feelings or knowing what to do when others express theirs. We are going to bust these myths by acknowledging the values of feelings so we can deepen our relationships and improve the results we're going to achieve with other people. Your feelings serve two functions. They are used as gas and as a GPS. They function as gas and can be used to explode on others or as the energy that you can use to express yourself to propel you to getting your needs met. Feelings also function as a GPS, as your only internal guidance system that tells you whether your needs have been met or not. As gas, feelings can be explosive. When expressed without any tempering, they can explode on others. Sometimes this is a means to manipulate and control others' behaviors. Sometimes it's just embarrassing or unprofessional, like when your drama queen coworker who routinely rants and raves, making childish outbursts about what someone did to disrespect her, to gain attention and get her way. Alternatively, the energy and feelings can be harnessed and used as horsepower to communicate what is going on inside you. They can be used as a catalyst for action, like when you find yourself enraged at work and you use that energy to get to the root of the office politics to find out what started the drama in order to deal with it effectively. The other function of your feelings are as your only internal guidance system, or GPS, to let you know whether your needs have been satisfied or not. This GPS system gives you vital information about how you're relating to others, how you're feeling about it, and whether you're on or off course. The key is the sequence, GPS before gas. Your feelings serve as early warning signs, like a GPS telling you that you are on or off course. This internal guidance system gives you feedback, and these warning signs are the first indication that something isn't right.
I always get a little jolt when my car GPS voice warns me that I'm off course, redirecting me. Yikes, what just happened? Oh no! It's the same with feelings. They're just trying to tell you that, hey, something's not working for me. Or maybe you've heard that GPS voice so often that you've learned to ignore it or just simply shut it off. It's the same with feelings. You can tune them out or stuff them down. Either way, they are just trying to tell you that at some level something isn't working for you and your needs are not being met. Listen to them. You're experiencing them for a very good reason, to help you in your life.
A while back, I used this graphic to depict what's going on when your reptilian reactions take over and how curiosity can turn your higher reasoning centers back on. Now I'm using it to show you what's going on with your feelings and how they act as a need signal. Feelings live in the limbic system in your brain. This area is lit up by your feelings, and the nature of those feelings lets you know whether your needs have been met or not. Positive leaning feelings provide the signal that your needs are satisfied and allow your higher reasoning center to operate without interruption. On the other hand, negative leaning feelings provide the signal that your needs are not satisfied, and if you aren't careful, this will trigger your reptilian brain to take over to make sure you will simply survive in life like a lizard that's been trapped. I just referred to feelings as positive leaning and negative leaning. It's important to clarify this a bit. Feelings are neither good nor bad. There is no such thing as a bad feeling, since your feelings are just trying to tell you something. They aren't positive or negative either. They are just what they are, a message to you. The judgment comes from how they are expressed. Say you're angry. That's fine, we all get angry. But when you express that anger by slamming doors or chastising me in public, well, that's not okay. It's not the anger that's unacceptable, it's the expression of the anger that doesn't work for me. Feelings function as both GPS and gas, and both functions have value. GPS acting as the directional guide to whether your needs have been met or not. Gas acting as the energy to express this fact. The key to expressing them effectively is the sequence. GPS before gas. Taking that anger example, if you're feeling angry, first use it as a guide to determine what your unmet needs are. Maybe your need for consideration wasn't met because I kept you waiting alone at the restaurant for 20 minutes. Knowing that, you can still be angry but can apply the gas more effectively by speaking your displeasure and requesting that we talk about our standards around being on time. And most importantly, the presence of feelings indicate whether your needs are being satisfied or not. I've created a list of feelings broken down by those feelings that are present when your needs are satisfied and those feelings that are present when your needs are not satisfied. Please download it for your reference. Looking at the top half of the feelings list, if you were feeling any of these feelings, would you say that at some level your needs have been acknowledged or satisfied? Maybe you're encouraged because your need for learning is being met by taking this course. I hope so. Now look at the feelings at the bottom half of the page. If you were feeling any of these feelings, would you say that at some level your needs have not been acknowledged or satisfied? Maybe you're vulnerable because your need for competency hasn't been met yet. Stay with me and you'll gain the tools you'll need. Note that the words in the list that are in bold are just feeling words we tend to use more than others. That's all. When I've read the feelings words off the list that you just downloaded to groups of people in workshops that I've conducted across this country and said, raise your hand if you've ever felt this feeling, every word I yelled out, hands went up with everybody in the group. Each person in the group has felt loving, caring, frustrated, angry, encouraged, and so on at some point in their life.
Maybe not at the same time as someone else, but they have felt those feelings at some time in their life and they can identify them when they are spoken. Here's another consideration around thoughts and feelings. There are as many thoughts as there are people on planet Earth, and yet there are only a few core feelings of mad, sad, glad, and scared. All the rest are variations on those four feelings. So when you state a feeling, while nuanced, it's common to all people. Whereas when you state a thought, you may be the only person who would have come up with that thought or jumped to that conclusion. When you choose to connect with other people, feelings trump thoughts each and every time. Connecting those feelings to an actual observation that others can verify and not to some meaning you made up in your head brings other people along with you so that they understand what triggered that feeling in you and can empathize with you.
Feelings and needs are the building blocks of our emotional intelligence. We all have a myriad of feelings and needs swirling around inside of us like these two orbs. We are all seeking to have our needs filled, and our feelings are letting us know if they have been satisfied or not. This signaling back and forth inextricably links our feelings and needs together to form our emotional intelligence DNA. Now that you see how connected feelings and needs are, I'm going to give you some simple tools to tune into and acknowledge these feelings by honestly expressing and curiously investigating. I'm sure you remember from earlier that honestly expressing involves sharing what's going on with you, and curiously investigating involves asking others what's going on with them. Simple enough. But with feelings, we often stumble because we aren't used to talking about feelings. So instead, we share our thoughts under the guise of feelings. It's a common tendency to state your thoughts as feelings and to connect them to a meaning or something you made up about how you're feeling. For example, if I said, "I feel like I'm useless," what am I really trying to say? Or, "I feel you don't respect me." You might think, "Oh, so this is about me." Using like, that, as if, pronouns, names, or nouns after "I feel" turns the statement into a thought because it conceptualizes or makes a meaning out of what you're actually feeling. This creates confusion for two reasons. First, because you're stating that you're feeling something and yet there's no feeling expressed. Second, because your description of your feeling was made up in your head and other people probably don't have a clue what you're talking about. So to effectively, honestly express feelings, state your feeling as a feeling and connect them to an observation. Use an actual feeling word after "I feel" to get you into the habit of actually expressing a feeling, and complete the sentence with an observable fact. If you said, "I feel discouraged that what I contributed wasn't used," I now know what you're feeling and why. Or if you said, "I feel disappointed that you're leaving early," from this statement, I can empathize with you because I've felt disappointed before and can understand why my leaving early would cause you to feel that way. We all have feelings, and while we may not be feeling the same thing at the same time, we can identify with the feeling. You are now going to do an exercise to learn how to honestly express your feelings. Turn in your workbook to this exercise. First, read each statement as if you said it. Then decide whether you honestly expressed it or you didn't. If the statement is not clearly stating a feeling, change it so that it does. Make sure you attach whatever feeling you are experiencing to an actual fact, something others could see or hear, not something you made up. Feel free to make assumptions or make up facts to support the feelings you are expressing. Using the example you've just looked at of, I feel like I'm useless, whenever I feel is followed by the word like, I'm expressing a thought, not a feeling. And useless is something I made up in my head that others can't verify. They can't see what's going on in my head. So put a feeling word after I feel, like I feel hurt, and then attach that to an actual observation that others could verify, like that my work wasn't acknowledged by the team during the presentation. So I've attached my feeling of hurt to something that could be verified by others. Now pause the video and complete the exercise of honestly expressing. Practicing right now will help you understand this better and equip you to honestly express when you're in the real world and it really makes a difference. Number 1, they are not honestly expressing. I feel you don't love me. By using you just made the statement about the other person which doesn't express your own feeling. To change this, you might say, I feel sad when you don't say you love me during the day. Sad is a feeling we're all familiar with, and the act of saying I love you is an observation that I can agree or disagree with because it's observable fact that can be verified by me. Have I or haven't I said it? You got me. I now know what I'm going to do and can start doing in the future. Number 2, yes, they are honestly expressing. I'm thrilled you are coming home. This is another example of using you, but because it's preceded by a feeling word and followed by an indisputable fact that you're coming home, it is actually stating a feeling. Number 3, not honestly expressing. I feel as if I'm living in a bubble. I always get confused by the difference between a metaphor and a simile, but I'm pretty sure this is one of them. As if compares my state with living in a bubble. To shift this from being a thought to a feeling, you could say, I feel lonely and isolated when no one stops by my cubicle during the day to say hi. I can emphasize with feeling lonely and isolated and can understand why you're feeling that way because no one stopped by to say hi to you. Number 4, not honestly expressing. When you don't call me, I feel like you've forgotten me. This statement started off well with an observation, but then it shifted into you making something up about that observation, placing blame on you for doing something to me. Better said would be, when you don't call me, observation, I feel worried, and leave it at that. Number 5, yes, they did honestly express. I'm mad that you are leaving. This might not be the best delivered feeling statement there is, but it does state a feeling along with a fact. It certainly gives us a jumping off point to talk about our predicament. Number 6, they did not honestly express. Your comments are abusive. This statement doesn't even make an attempt to state a feeling. It just attaches a meaning to a fact. Apparently, comments were made, but what about them didn't work for you? To honestly express, you could say something like, I feel furious and aggravated when you make comments about the style of my clothes. Okay, got it. Number 7, they did not honestly express. When you look at me that way, it makes me feel awkward. It kind of seems that this statement is starting with an observation, but that way is pretty vague. and it would be better to take ownership of the feeling rather than letting the observation have power over you. Maybe you could say, I feel awkward when you stare at my earlobe when you're talking. Now I know what I've done to upset you. Oh, sorry, I have trouble with eye contact. It's not about you, it's me. Number 8, they did not honestly express. I feel my boss has it out for me. I feel my boss. So you're making up that your boss is doing something to you. But what are you actually feeling? How about, I feel anxious and nervous when my boss asks me for my timesheets. If you made up the meaning that your boss has it out for you because of this, maybe you need to ask yourself why you'd come up with that conclusion. Number 9, not honestly expressing. I'm worthless. This is like assigning value to your state of being. This surely signals you're having some bad feelings, but it's not honestly expressing any of them. More expressive might be, I feel disappointed and hopeless when no one acknowledges my work. That does feel yucky, and I can see why you're disappointed. Number 10, they did not honestly express. I feel like walking out and never coming back. Here we go with like again. Walking out and never coming back could be considered a fact if that's a true intention. More likely, it's an exaggerated, dramatic meaning you created to make your point. Instead, you might say, I feel really discouraged by the length of time I've spent waiting, and I'm thinking I might need to find another provider. Oh, now I understand the seriousness of the situation without the drama, and since I know why you're upset, I can attempt to rectify the problem. Some of the biggest challenges people face when honestly expressing is that they are still caught up in their reptilian brain and they're letting their feelings explode on others like gas, perhaps to manipulate or control or get them to do something. So as they say what they're thinking, what they made up in their heads to make a point. Unfortunately, others may not know what they're talking about, and it's also easier to place blame on others for making us feel a certain way. Like, you made me feel so angry. Well, here's a pill that may be difficult to swallow, that no one can make you feel anything. What you're feeling is simply your reaction to what's going on and your judgment and your blaming of someone else that's making you feel that way. Now you're going to curiously investigate using the same statements you used in the last exercise. This time you're going to imagine that someone is making these statements to you, and you will curiously investigate what is going on with them, trying to understand what they are actually feeling and why. The feelings implied in the statement can tell you their general feelings of sad, mad, glad, or scared. Your objective is to find out why. What has happened in their life, or what did they see that has them feel that way? Remember, this is about creating a safe and respectful interaction between the two of you. All that you're going to do is be curious, not reacting to their statement. You're not going to judge, blame, or complain. Just curiously investigate by being curious and asking a question. That's it. To get the conversation started and let them know you care and are concerned. For example, if I said to you, I feel you don't love me, then to curiously investigate, you might infer that I'm sad or mad and ask, I'm curious, are you feeling sad? What did I do that has you think I don't love you? That's it. You are trying to get the conversation started and gain understanding. Here's a hint. Start out with I'm curious and then follow that with the word what. When you start with I'm curious, you are sending a message that it's okay to talk with you. When you use the word what, you are using a wisdom access question. After you're done with this, I will debrief with you like I did with honestly expressing. So go ahead and pause the video and restart it after you're done with the exercise. Please pause. Curiously investigating is easier than honestly expressing because all you need to be is inquisitive, guessing and asking questions to understand what's going on with the other person. Use I'm curious, what, to engage the other person and to understand what they are really thinking and feeling. Make sure to take the curious ABC pause whenever you get riled and want to lash back at the other person. This will help you return to your more reasonable and rational mindset before you ask the question, so your tone of voice and facial expression sends a signal that you respect them and it's safe to talk with you. So let's go through the debrief of curiously investigating more quickly than we did with honestly expressing. Number 1, I feel you don't love me. Curiously investigating, you can ask, I'm curious, what did I do that has you think I don't love you? Or, I'm curious, are you upset or mad because of something I did? Number 2, I'm thrilled you are coming home. Well, that's nice to hear. They're already honestly expressing, so you could just fish for more by saying, I'm curious, what about me coming home has you thrilled? Number 3, I feel as if I'm living in a bubble. Now, I wonder what it's like in that bubble. To find out what they mean, you might simply ask, I'm curious, what do you mean when you say living in a bubble? Number 4, when you don't call me, I feel like you've forgotten me. First, don't focus on this judgment of your actions. Rather, you could ask, I'm curious, what about me not calling you makes you think that I've forgotten you? Are you angry with me? Number 5, I'm mad that you're leaving. They've honestly expressed, so now you can explore their feelings further. I'm curious, what about me leaving has you so upset? Number 6, your comments are abusive. Okay, this sounds like a complaint or a judgment. Avoid the temptation to react and get defensive. Simply ask, I'm curious, what did I say that upset you? Number 7, when you look at me that way, it makes me feel awkward. Okay, that makes me seem like a pervert. Before getting defensive, ask, I'm curious, what about the way I look at you makes you uncomfortable? Number 8, I feel my boss has it out for me. My immediate thought was, maybe so, what did you do? Instead, you might ask, I'm curious, what does your boss do that has you think they have it out for you? Then I can understand what has it out for me means to you. Number 9, I'm worthless. This is a pretty depressing statement. To uncover their feeling and understand why they're feeling this way, you could ask, I'm curious, that sounds pretty harsh. What's going on that's making you feel so bad? Number 10, I feel like walking out and never coming back. We may not say it, but I imagine we've all thought this at some time in our lives, and it can stem from many feelings: sadness, anger, embarrassment. To curiously investigate and start the conversation, ask, I'm curious, what has you wanting to leave? These examples provide an opportunity for you to try out curiously investigating. Obviously, when you're interacting with people in real life and they make a statement to you, you have some idea of the context behind their thoughts. For instance, if your spouse was to say, I feel like walking out and never coming back again, they probably wouldn't appreciate an impersonal question like, I'm curious, what has you wanting to leave? You would sound like a real jerk. Instead, you might refer to the fight that provoked the statement and empathize with the feelings. I know you're upset. I know we've said some hurtful things. I'm curious, what can we do to make you want to stay? What we're attempting to do is change the I versus you mentality to we thinking. We created this problem together, and we can create the solution together. By doing so, it has the opportunity to revitalize your relationship and elevate the results you get together. Before you honestly express your feelings or curiously investigate others' feelings, remember to take the curious ABC pause. Take that moment between the stimulus and response to choose your reaction. Hit the pause button and do not say another word until you acknowledge how you're reacting physically, mentally, or emotionally. Breathe deeply and then choose curiosity by asking a question about how you or others are feeling. From there, you can use the feelings as a guide to what the unmet needs are so that you can address them. Revitalizing relationships involves using curiosity about how you're feeling and how others are feeling. You don't have to feel the same. You simply need to acknowledge those feelings so they can lead you to what your needs are. Remember, the key to all of this is to be curious about yours and others' feelings and let those feelings direct you to the underlying needs before applying the gas or energy to get your needs met. Now go ahead and refer to your personal challenge. Turn to your personal challenge worksheet and spend some time considering what you're feeling and what others in the interaction are also feeling. Are they the same as yours, or do you think they may be different? Eventually, you're going to talk this out with them. So do your homework now so you are best prepared when you do talk with them.
If we only use our feelings to express our frustration, our anger, our upset, we're using our feelings as gas to explode on others. Or we can use our feelings as a very effective internal directional guide to whether our needs have been satisfied, whether their needs have been satisfied, and then, after we identify the needs, then use our feelings as gas to address those needs. The key is the sequence. GPS before gas. Someone said, know where you're heading before you put your foot on the gas. In the next section, we will see that using our feelings as a GPS will put us in the progressive cycle. However, using our feelings as gas first will always create drama in our lives and put us in the regressive cycle. And again, the choice is yours.